election officials in Minnesota have confirmed that illegals can now vote in state elections, would you believe, after Tim Walz signed a driver's licences for all law back in 2023, allowing them to obtain government-issued photo IDs for free. Have a look.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
So we give driver's licenses to anyone here. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to, which is a photo ID. So if someone comes in, they register, they have the driver's license, but they have an incorrect social or no social or whatever. So then they become incomplete. But if they walk in to vote with their driver's license, does that make them all of a sudden now okay?
Mr. Linnell.
Madam Chair, so the designation on the roster for someone whose registration had been incomplete, if they present the election judge with that acceptable identification document, that would clear the challenge from the roster and they would be permitted to cast a ballot.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder, CJ, if this was some sort of ploy for a vote grab by the Democrats. But how is something like this allowed?
You know, it shouldn't be allowed, and it's exactly that. It's a vote grab. You know, as many, minorities, Black Americans flee the Democrat Party in record numbers, they're having to find new votes, and they're fighting that within the populations of illegal aliens. And so they're eager to make sure that they're able to vote. But, as I said in the previous block here, I'm old enough to remember when Democrats, storming the office of a speaker would be called an insurrection. I'm also old enough to remember when Americans voted in American elections. But apparently Democrats want to move away from that because they feel as if their grip on power is slowly but surely giving away. And it's rightfully so, because the American people know the Democrats don't care about American citizens. They care about illegal aliens first. Black Americans know it. White Americans know it. We all know it. These people have shown time and again, they don't give a damn about the people that actually pay taxes here, that live here, that came here the right way. They only are consumed with continuing their grip on power via the illegal aliens that they've imported into this country.
Yeah, it's such a shame. Illegal aliens first, actual Americans second. Unbelievable. But yeah, no, we're not surprised when it comes to the Democrats. Now, the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned Moscow that the US and its allies will impose costs on Russia for its continued aggression if the war in Ukraine does not come to an end. He said, quote, "If we must take this step, the US War Department stands ready to do our part in ways that only the United States can do." CJ, of course, there was that summit recently with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin on working towards ending this war, but it does seem to be now at a stalemate. How likely is it that the US will indeed step up and make good on these threats if Moscow does not come to the table?
Well, I'll tell you, I was with the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, just last week, and when we were talking about this, he said that, the Trump doctrine is peace through strength. Marco Rubio has the peace part, and Pete Hegseth has the war part. And I guarantee you that we're going to work to ensure that both of those factions are working in tandem with one another. With a president that actually leads from the front and not from behind, I think Russia knows who they're dealing with. I think Vladimir Putin knows who he's dealing with, and also Zelensky knows who he's dealing with. And so rest assured, you should all know that President Trump is not going to stop until we ensure that there is peace in this situation. And as has been demonstrated by the way in which he handled the conflict between Hamas and Israel, which some would say was a lot more trickier than what we're seeing between Russia and Ukraine, he's going to continue to, again, lead by that doctrine, peace through strength, but also what we like to say here in America, FAFO. And I got to tell you, I don't think Russia wants to find out. I don't think Ukraine wants to find out either. And so I think all these folks are going to come to the table and there's going to be peace very soon in that region.
Well, look, if anyone can do it, it's Donald Trump. He's done one war. He's helped with that. Let's see Russia, Ukraine next. CJ Pearson, nice to catch up with you. Thank you very much for your time this evening.